So I want to give you some updates on a couple of class logistics as we head into the next section. First things first, tomorrow you will have your quiz on 1.1 and 1.2. So 1.1 is subatomic particles, 1.2 is average atomic mass that includes both the calculations and the lab that we did. So that quiz will be open in Google Classroom from 8 a.m. tomorrow morning until 8 p.m. tomorrow night. So this is the 23rd, September 23rd. That's a Wednesday, and it'll be open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So somewhere during that 12-hour window, you need to make sure that you are logging on and taking your quiz. In the event that you don't do it during that 12-hour period, you'll need to send me an email, explain to me what went on, why you weren't able to access it during that time period. And then as long as everything checks out, I can go back in and open it for you. So make your life a little easier, make my life a little easier, try to get it done during that 12-hour period so we don't have to worry about the extra stuff. Second thing, the screen that I am showing you right here should look familiar to you. This is our chemistry calendar. I have done a couple of changes to this calendar to make it a little bit easier to use. It actually looks pretty similar to what we did last year in chemistry, which the students really, really liked. We tried to make some updates this year to how we ran things to make it more similar to what people in other classes were doing, but decided that this was really a better system and we're going to go back to it. So you will still see things assigned in Google Classroom the same way that they have been. The slideshows with all of the information will be posted as materials, and then the understanding checks will be posted as assignments with a due date. What is going to be different is that if you look at this calendar, actually link all of that information. So if it were me, I like following a calendar and knowing day by day exactly what has to be done. I would bookmark this calendar. I could work on my chemistry stuff. I would open this calendar and I would go to that day's date. For example, today is the 22nd. So here's the 22nd. I can see here's the Google Meet link, questions, the times where the Google Meets are taking places. All I have to do is click on that link and it takes me right to the Google Meet. Here's what's new. I've also linked the assignment for you. So if I click on this link, it will take me to the Google form that is this quiz that you're working on right now, or sorry, not quiz, that is the survey that you're working on right now. You'll be able to take the survey. And then the really nice part about this is it actually links through Google Classroom. So it works the same way as taking that survey directly from your Google Classroom. It'll be logged in as you. When you're done, it will submit it as you, and it will mark it off of your to-do list in Google Classroom. So the reason I like this is because it allows you to see a little bit clearer what's happening on a day, and you can see what my expectation is that you're going to be working on that day. So for example, if we go back to that average atomic mass lesson series that you did last week, notice that on the 14th, it links to PowerPoint. So right here, you would click on this link, it would open the Google Slides. You could do the slides that are assigned to you for Monday. Then on Tuesday, it links the PowerPoint again. So you could see that I'm expecting that you're going to go back into that PowerPoint and you're going to do Tuesday's work on atomic mass. And then on Wednesday, it links the understanding check. So my expectation for you is that on Wednesday, you're going to go in and you're going to do the understanding check because you've already done the PowerPoint on Monday and the PowerPoint on Tuesday. In Google Classroom, it's a little hard to see what the expectation is for each day and what you're supposed to be getting done. So what ends up happening then is we wait until the day that the understanding check is due. We click on the understanding check, realize we have no idea what's on it, and then have to go back and essentially do 3 or 4 days worth of material in one day so you can get your understanding check done. Obviously, if that's the route that you want to go and you want to keep doing it that way, I can't stop you. The material is still going to be posted. You're still going to have access to it. You can keep doing it that way. But for some people that feel a little overwhelmed by that, or like they're just doing things to get them done, but not really understanding the sequence or what's supposed to be done on a certain day, this could be a much easier way for you to stay up to date on what needs to be done, see it on the calendar, click on the link to find it. So hopefully that helps some of you that are feeling a little overwhelmed by all of the things in Google Classroom. The third thing that I want to talk about quickly is the process of making corrections. So starting after the quiz, so we're looking at next week, the 28th, when we do 1.3 periodic table, starting at that point, if you don't do as well as you would like on an understanding check, you will have the opportunity to make corrections on that understanding check. So here's how the corrections work, okay? If you don't do as well as you would like on an understanding check, before you can make corrections, I need to see that you did the work, okay? So what we're trying to avoid here is people that just say, well, I'm just going to take the understanding check. I'm not going to do the lesson. I'm just going to do the understanding check. And then when it doesn't go well, oh, well, I'll just do it again until I get it right, okay? That's not learning. That's just guessing at that point. So we want to make sure that you are actually learning the chemistry that you're going to need, because if you had been in class this year, I would have reminded you about 10 times by this point that chemistry builds on top of itself. So what we learn on the first day of chemistry is built upon by what we learn throughout the first month and the first semester. And the things we learn at the beginning come back over and over and over again throughout the year. So when we get into March, if you don't remember the things you learned at the beginning of the year in chemistry, you're kind of screwed. Like, it really becomes hard to learn the stuff that we're learning later on in the year if you haven't learned the things at the beginning. So that's why it's really important that even now with this easier stuff, you're getting it. It's making sense. You're actually learning it. You're not just completing things, checking boxes, and moving on. So if you want to make corrections, I need to see that you have gone through the PowerPoint. I can see that on my end. Okay, if you open the PowerPoint slides and you go through them, it pops up on my computer that you've viewed those slides. So that's thing number one. Thing number two, I need to see that you have done the practice. So usually what that looks like in a lesson is that quick check at the end. So if the lesson is 3 days, you probably have a quick check at the end of day 1 and a quick check at the end of day 2, and then the full understanding check at the end of day 3. I can see who completes those quick checks. So if you want to make corrections on an understanding check that's graded, I need to see that you've already gone in and you tried quick check 1 and quick check 2. That's practice. When you do things in a regular class, you don't just show up on the day of the quiz. You would come to class, you would learn the material, you would do the practice problems, you would ask questions, and then you would take the quiz. The same thing works when we're in virtual learning. You have to go through the slides. That's like sitting through class. You have to do the quick checks. Those are your practice problems. And then you take the understanding check. So only people that have completed those first 2 steps are eligible to redo an understanding check. The third thing that needs to happen is you need to ask a question. You need to go to a help session and you need to figure out, why did the understanding check not go the way it was supposed to? Okay, right now the thing that I've heard, number one thing from people is, I went too fast and I made a silly mistake. Okay, hopefully you take your time, you read through the question, and you don't make those silly mistakes. By putting this into place, we're hoping that you're going to take a little bit more time so that you don't say, oh, I submitted that I made a quick mistake. Oh, shoot, mistakes, and can I just do that again? Okay, take your time, make sure that you are happy with your answers, submit it. And then the third step to redoing an understanding check is that you either need to ask a question of the teacher that is in your house, that is the science teacher. So whether that's me, Mr. Hall, or you're a sophomore and you have one of the sophomore science teachers, you need to ask a question of that person, or you need to come to a Google Meet and you need to ask a question. When you do that, you need to document what date you asked the question on and where you asked the question. It was the 11 o'clock Google Meet with Mrs. Ademeyer I asked my question. That way I can follow up and I can say, hey, Mrs. Ademeyer, did you actually talk to Susie on that day to answer her question? And she'll say, yep, we had a great conversation, got it all cleared up. She's ready to retake her understanding check. Hopefully she wouldn't say, no, I don't know who that person is. I've never talked with them, because that would mean that you're not telling me the truth. So make sure that you actually go ask your question and then document the date and the time or where you talked to that person, okay? So again, 3 things that you need to do to redo an understanding check. You have to have gone through the PowerPoint. You have to take the quick checks, and you have to go to either a Google Meet or you have to meet with your teacher during your help time in your house to ask a question about what went wrong on your understanding check, to make sure that you're ready to retake it. When you've done those 3 things, you send me an email and you say, hey, Ms. Dixon, I would like to retake such and such understanding check. Can you please send me the link? And I will shoot you over the link and you'll be able to retake it. And if your score improves, I'll put that new score in the gradebook. Okay. I know that that's a pretty lengthy process, but ideally you've already done the first 2 steps just by doing the lesson. The third step, where you have to ask a question, is the important step because clearly something didn't go right the first time. So we need to figure out what went wrong. And then sending me an email shouldn't be that big of a deal. Okay. Hopefully that all makes sense. Like I said, we're trying to make this as easy for you to understand what's going on and stay on top of things, but also to make sure that you're actually getting the work done and doing the learning, because our job as teachers is to make sure that you are learning the material. Okay, specifically in chemistry, because it's such a sequential class and things build on each other, we have to make sure you have that good base so that we're able to build later in the year when we get to the more advanced stuff. As always, if you have any questions, concerns, things aren't making sense, please just let me know. Send me an email. I check them all the time, even sometimes over the weekend or at night. Like, I'm here. You let me know what you need. Or stop me if I'm in your house. We can always chat and figure out what's going on.